Welcome back, Full Heel Podcast. It is me, your host, DonkeyTron, and I am bringing you a review on StarrCade 1998. So, if you guys don't want spoilers, skip this episode. If you guys haven't seen StarrCade 98, I don't know what the hell you guys have been waiting for, but this is going to be the review on it. If you guys just want to check this out instead of watching the whole thing, boom, here you guys go. First, I wanted to let you guys know, if you guys don't know by now, I am co-host of the Average Joe's MMA show. So from now on, I will be doing this show. That's why I'm bringing you StarrCade 98. I'm going to try to be doing this regularly as I was, the Full Heel Podcast, and I will be doing Average Joe's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you guys can check me out on there talking about UFC, MMA, UFC, mixed martial arts, upcoming cards. Same thing I do on here. I'm not going to stop putting out content on here, so don't worry. Yeah, so check me out on there if you guys want to check me out. Just shooting the shit with someone else. So, Average Joe's MMA show. So, check me out on there. And if you guys haven't by now, check out the Full Heel Podcast page on Facebook and the group. I just turned it into a group. So if you go in there, you can drop your MMA news, your WWE news, your pro wrestling news, any articles you guys want to drop, your guys' thoughts, your guys' ideas. We'll try to keep spoilers to specific posts. We'll on one thread. That way people can avoid spoilers if they don't want to see them. But that way we can also talk about what's going on for the people that are watching live. Either Raw, SmackDown, or whatever pay-per-view would be on, either WWE or UFC. So, where was I going with that? I have no idea where I was going with this. You know what? Figure it out real quick. Oh yeah, the group. I just started it, so check out Full Heel Podcast Fight Group on Facebook. Let's see. So I'm doing this literally an hour before I'm gonna take off to a wedding, a little bit before. So I should finish this off right before Quadril gets here, and then I'm going to take off to Nero's wedding. He's getting married today, so I get to go to a wedding today. I get to hang out with my boys. It's open bar, but I'm not going to get wasted. I got to drive over there. So waiting for Quadril to get here. I'm going to bang this out in an hour, maybe a little bit less, just because I got to go. It's going to be fun, though. Fun little wedding. I think it's just a reception. I don't have to go to the church or anything, which I think he's having at a later date. I'm not sure. But enough of that. I got this wedding to go to. Let's see. So let's see. In wrestling news right now, before I get to StarrCade, I guess in wrestling news. So this is January 6th. Wrestle Kingdom was 2 days ago. So if you don't want to hear any spoiler on Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega, I'm about to start talking about it right now. So I didn't watch all of Wrestle Kingdom. I'm trying to catch all of it. The matches are really long, and it's like a 6-parter. It's 6 hours. Like I said, it just came out like 2 days ago. So I watched Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, Alpha versus Omega. If you guys haven't been watching wrestling around this time right now, because, you know, maybe you guys were fans back in the day and you guys kind of fizzled out and don't watch it anymore, Chris Jericho's always been the WWE guy. So he was ECW and then WCW, and then the WCW never utilized him well. They always threw him in the cruiserweight scene, in the mid-card scene, winning the television title. Not sure if he won the United States title a bunch there. But I know he did win the television title, cruiserweight title. I'm not sure about the tag titles there. I'm going back and rewatching all these pay-per-views, so. But they never utilized him well. And it was always Nash, Hall, the NWO getting over. And then he just never got his push with Goldberg not wanting to wrestle him. There was always something that he could never get ahead. You know, they said he wasn't big enough. He was too small to main event, which is total bullshit, you know, because he can wrestle his ass off. And he can cut some of the best promos, even to date. And he can still change his persona over and over. Not even that much. He just tweaks it. He just tweaks Jericho, and he makes you like him even longer and even longer. And he's had longevity this whole time. And his whole longevity's been in the WWE, establishing himself as the first... it was the first undisputed champion when he unified the WWF and the WCW World Heavyweight titles, beating Austin and The Rock in the same night. Something that's never been done before, or that had never been done before. But they had like a mini tournament to unify both titles. Chris Jericho walking away with it. No one thinking Chris Jericho would walk away with it. And even after that, they didn't utilize him well. The storyline was really weak. Focused more around Stephanie McMahon than it did him. And it just didn't have him as a strong heel for being the first undisputed champion and unifying those belts. But what can you do, right? So, that's Chris Jericho. He had a stunt in New Japan, and he had wrestled there, but he, again, never main evented there. He was used well, but I think he only lasted there a year, so he did not main event the Tokyo Dome. And he did not get to main event a Wrestle Kingdom. So for him coming back and co-main eventing the Wrestle Kingdom is a big deal. So he comes back and he co-main events against Kenny Omega, the Cleaner. So again, if you guys aren't up to date with pro wrestling, as I am not up to date with New Japan, but I know who Kenny Omega is, and I followed him for a little bit now. I've tried to, look into who he is, just because he's not a WWE guy or a States guy, or he's not an older guy that was in the WCW, or he's been a New Japan Pro Wrestling guy. He speaks fluent Japanese, and he's an honorary Japanese guy. And it just kind of fucking sets it up perfect. Jericho being the WWE guy, Omega being the New Japan Pro Wrestling guy. It sets it up perfect for them to have that match of the year. For them to put on like the match that's going to draw the most eyeballs, just because it has a great story, it has a great feud, and it's going to be a badass wrestling match because Jericho has really good chemistry. He might not be able to blow anyone out of the waters, but he can have incredible matches with someone that has really good chemistry with him. And that's something he was able to do in this match versus Kenny Omega. So if you guys get a chance, I would definitely check this card out. Or this match out. I'm going to go back and check the card. I heard it was a good not StarrCade, Wrestle Kingdom. Sorry if I've been calling it StarrCade. I'm going to go with StarrCade right now. But this is what's going on right now. I couldn't avoid not talking about this badass match. But I think it was almost a 40-minute match between Jericho and Omega. I've only seen it once. They had some badass spots, dude. If you guys don't go back and watch this, you guys are missing out. There's links in the group, the new group that I've made on Facebook. So once again, go check that out. Check me out on iTunes. Drop me some reviews and a 5-star review on iTunes. That really helps out the show. Drop me a review anywhere you guys can. It really helps out the show. Again, please do that if you get a chance to. But these guys had badass matches. Or a badass match, sorry, matches. They've only had one match. This is their first match. And, like I said, it had a lot of good spots in it. They utilized the table. But my favorite spot of the night, and I think what they focused on, was the chair spot in the corner, where Jericho stuffs the chair in the corner and proceeds to beat Kenny's head into it, trips him into it, And that's where Kenny gets some color on him, as they like to say. He gets busted open, and yeah, adds a lot of drama to the scene with the blood. But Kenny Omega putting on some badass moves, jumping out to the outside. I don't know what he calls it. He goes off the rope and jumps out and completely goes over and swantons over the top rope and lands on the dude. I don't know if he has a specific name for it, but he hits them when they're standing. He always does it, but he gets so much air on it. It just looks fucking awesome. Great opportunity to take pictures. I'm pretty sure there's pictures of it online, but I just didn't look any up. Let's see, what else? Kenny Omega stomping the shit out of Jericho on the outside with the table on him. I think he did it with the chair on him or the table. I'm not sure. But Jericho fucking with the ref the whole match. Red Shoes, I guess, is their super popular referee. For New Japan. Sorry. Getting a drink of some water. But it's fucking with Red Shoes the whole match. And just using his heel tactics to get over. And you kind of see the old Jericho. You see the Jericho of old. In WWE, he's not allowed to do these 40-minute matches anymore. And you don't see that much blood anymore. You don't see the chair shots they were going for in this one. He ultimately destroyed one of the chairs. They might not be as strong as they were using back in the Attitude Era, but still, just seeing it being destroyed on Kenny Omega's head is great for the visuals of a pro wrestling fan. No, we know it's choreographed, but still, the nice explosion of the chair is awesome. You like seeing that. And eventually, Kenny gets locked into the walls of Jericho, and Kenny uses the ref to pull himself to the ropes to get out of the walls of Jericho, eventually gaining the upper hand and landing the one-winged angel onto the chair. It looked like it fucking hurt. I wouldn't want to take one of those. But one of the main differences that you take away from New Japan that WWE doesn't have is almost the selling of the moves. The WWE almost has it like poppy, more for the mainstream. I don't know, more safe. These guys kind of know how to make it look real. And I guess that's why they do call it strong style. That's why I don't know how often you guys have heard it mentioned with Shinsuke Nakamura, but he hasn't been able to display it here in the WWE. They utilize a lot more kicks that look real. Their slams look ultimately more real. And they are taking more punishment, in my opinion. And that's a big takeaway from it. Because Jericho's able to work these type of matches because he was working the old school. This is how they work old school type of matches. Now they're a lot more safe, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. That's for them to decide, and that's for their product. But these guys seem to go for that old school kind of strong feel. And it's winning me over. Last year I watched Okada versus Kenny Omega, and this year I've caught a lot more of Kenny Omega and some of Okada, and I'm definitely going to go back and watch the rest of Wrestle Kingdom 12. So Kenny Omega picks up the victory, and I haven't seen any of the after stuff. I've been busy of the thing, but I think they interview Jericho and shit like that, so I'll go back and check that out. But also the Royal Rumble is this month. I'm gonna go and review maybe a Royal Rumble after this StarrCade, and Brock Lesnar's gonna take on Braun Strowman and Kane in a triple threat match. I don't know what's gonna go on there. Kane's there, I think, in my opinion, to take the pin maybe from Strowman to keep Brock looking good and claim that he didn't lose the Universal title. I don't know. We'll see. That's just what I'm thinking. We have the first ever 30 women over the top Royal Rumble. A lot of people were arguing. That wasn't even a strong argument point in my opinion. I just put it out there. I'm like, if Ronda What do you guys think are the chances of Ronda Rousey coming in at number 30? And they're like, there's not going to be 30 women in the Royal Rumble. I'm like, all right, cool. I I just threw it out there. I just thought they were going to make it equal, and they did. So they had to eat their words on that shit because they do definitely have enough talent. That was their argument. They're like, it's going to be a shit show. I'm like, well, that's for WWE to put on or not. They know who to book, and they know who to throw in there, and they know how to book the match. So we'll see if they know how to do it right. And then we have the 2018 30-man over-the-top rope battle royal. There's this 2018 one. I don't know exactly how many years in a row it's been done, but boom. Then the United States Championship is going to be decided in a tournament because Dolph Ziggler won it in the triple threat match against Baron Corbin and who was in it? Bobby Roode. He got the win, and then he just decided to vacate the title, and he's just not been wrestling anymore. So they've been having a tournament, a qualification tournament. I think this is where they're going to decide it. Yeah, that's about it for news in the WWE. I would say they're having a bunch of mixed tag matches as well that fans have voted on. I'm gonna check who. I don't know if they've all been voted on, but I know a lot have been picked already. I know we have Strowman and Bliss. What's his name? We have Nia Jax and what's his name? Titus O'Neil. Yep. So we have Nia Jax and Titus O'Neil in a mixed tag match. I don't know if they're facing each other, but we have one of the Usos. I'm not sure which one, but with his wife, Naomi, Bobby Roode, and Charlotte Flair. Don't really know the rest. Carmella might be in it. I'm not sure. But that's definitely going on, I think, this month or something like that. But the fans are voting on it, and I think that's going to go on on Twitter or... I'm not sure exactly, but that's going to happen. But, let's see. I guess... Fuck it, right? That's about it in news for the WWE. I guess I could check what's been going on Raw. And SmackDown, to let you guys know a little bit of news. Quick rundown. Let's see. Intercontinental Champion right now is Roman Reigns. Universal Champion's been Brock. He hasn't defended it in a while. But, let's see. Oh, dude, yeah, fucking Finn Balor got to tag with the Club, which was awesome last week on Raw. We got to see that again, a little bit of, oh shit, are they going to put them together? Are they reforming the Club here in the States? Are they putting that shit together? But no. They put Asuka versus Alexa Bliss, which was awesome. We got to see a match. They were toting it as the first ever, but no. These two have faced each other in NXT, and Asuka lost. Or no, Bliss lost in NXT. Sorry, Asuka did not lose. Bliss lost. She got destroyed. In this one, she put on a better match, and I think she gets to try out her revenge on this. Jason Jordan is tag team champions with Seth Rollins, oddly. I do not know why, but that's going on right now. Let's see. SmackDown. AJ Styles is feuding with... It's a weird feud because he's facing Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which both have beat him. But because of Shane McMahon in a sort of weird way, so they're kind of starting a feud between Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. It's a weird feud that I'm not kind of following right now. Because I've started recording on Tuesday nights, so I don't mind it if SmackDown's going to be fucking garbage. I can catch the highlights. I can go with the highlights. Let's see. Yeah. So, The feud between Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon continues. Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin had a tag team championship match against the Usos, the champions, trying to defend their tag team championships. Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable win the tag team championships in a weird mix-up of the guys that were not supposed to be in the ring got the pin cover, so they had to restart it, and a bunch of crazy shit ensues, I guess. I don't know. Just wasn't... I don't know, it was weird because then they restarted the match. I don't know if this is how they were going for it, but then they restarted the match and then the Usos retained the title. I don't know if they're trying to make this an angle to where these guys can pull off another match and then ultimately win it. But the Usos come away ultimately with the tag team titles. The Bludgeon Brothers are defeating everyone that they're facing. They're building up as a strong tag team, which they were before, but then they got like beat down because they were part of the Wyatts. I don't know why they got beat up as the Wyatts. The Wyatts being such a strong stable. These guys are coming up, though. The Bludgeon Brothers. They beat Breezango, even though Breezango is a popular tag team that they should be building up. But, I don't know. Xavier Woods faced Aiden English in the first round of the United States Championship Tournament. The one that's going to be decided at the Royal Rumble. Xavier Woods defeats Aiden English. This is a weird... They got a lot of talent in that division to throw in there. But maybe it's because... Well, they could have still had him in the Royal Rumble. Whoever won this title didn't necessarily have to win the Royal Rumble. I don't know. It's weird. Riot Squad versus Carmella and Tamina. They take out Carmella and Tamina. In my opinion, it was kind of weird having two different two different factions of girls come up at the same time. I think they should have still brought up girls, just not as a faction in one of the shows, and one of the factions would have been fine. And I could have gone for either one, but I don't know, it was just a little bit too much at one time for me. Still, all those girls deserve to come up, but like I said, not in the same form. It's kind of weird and repetitive. And then Sami Zayn defeats AJ Styles, so now AJ Styles has lost to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in repeated weeks. So I don't know. I don't know what's in stock for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Are they getting a title shot or some bullshit? Because they've beaten AJ Styles. I don't know. Something's gonna go on there. But enough of that. Let's get to some StarrCade 1998. I was 10 years old for this pay-per-view. This was, let's see, a year and a half, probably. Let's see, 2 years. Going on 2 years that the NWO was formed. And this pay-per-view had a lot of potential, but they didn't use it well, in my opinion. Going back, if I could have booked it differently, I probably would have. Just because, well, not even the pay-per-view. I just would have booked how it was done differently. Everyone credits this as one of the horrible fucking bookings that they did. Last year's being the horrible mix-up of it being a regular count. It was supposed to be a fast count. Hogan on Sting, that way Bret Hart could come in and say, hey, not on my watch. This shit is not going to happen like it happened to me. He's not going to get fucked over for the belt. But it was a regular count. Everything was really confusing, and Bret just came off like a weird dick for restarting the match and giving it to Sting, even though they had their badass moment. It was still kind of a botch. In StarrCade 1998 and the events that were leading up to StarrCade 1998, you could see that WCW was starting to come undone, as you would say. So the NWO Red and Black is in full effect. The NWO has torn apart. There's NWO Hollywood, which is the NWO White and Black, and Hogan's not even there anymore. Hogan is taken off. I think the leader was at this time, yeah, I think it came out a couple of times, was Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner was the leader of this rendition of the NWO. A sad one, the white and black. I like the fucking the Wolfpack, but like I said, you go back and look at a lot of stuff and it looks a lot different when you were a kid to when you're an adult. I don't even know if I took notes on this shit. I know I seen it. No, probably not. Yeah, I did. Alright. Let's see. The first match of the night was Juventud Guerrero versus Billy Kidman versus Rey Mysterio Jr. in a triple threat match. Billy Kidman being the cruiserweight champion at the time. They had a tendency of always opening up the matches or the pay-per-views with the cruiserweight championship, and that was one of the things that pissed off a lot of the wrestlers. Like Chris Jericho, like I mentioned to earlier, like I hinted to, he left because of the bookings. You either got booked mid-card or in the beginning, and they would put on incredible matches, and they just weren't used right, in their opinions as well, so they had to leave eventually. But what I didn't know, and in doing my research of old wrestling, back when I was super young and I couldn't watch them all at once, and now that I've been able to go back and see some of it, what I didn't realize is that Rey Mysterio, Billy Kidman as well, but Rey Mysterio, Juventud Guerrero, Psychosis, Eddie Guerrero, they were ECW guys to begin with, and not that they got super famous in ECW, but they were gaining popularity to the point that Eric Bischoff noticed it, that he could use them on the show, and he bought them out for WCW and used them as mid-card guys and used them as opening show guys for his heavyweights, for his NWO versus WCW storylines. And he would throw the NWO in there as well, but they were WCW guys. But, you know, they never were pushed to the heavyweight championships, and they were never paid right and used right in their opinions. They wanted more, and they never got more. But incredible match to open up the pay-per-view. Like I said, Billy Kidman was a champion. Rey Mysterio was one of my favorite wrestlers. I discovered him in the WCW video game, the first one that came out. That's where I first saw him. I'm like, hey, where the fuck is the Spider-Man guy from? And then later on, I get introduced to all of them as well in the video game and through watching WCW. I get introduced to them through the video game. This is way earlier on, of course. I'm not sure exactly when that video game came out. The first one. World Tour, I think it was. But yeah. Juvi was part of the LWO at the time, the Latino World Order, manned by Eddie Guerrero. He was the leader of the Latino World Order. And this is an interesting kind of angle or storyline with Eddie Guerrero and the Latino World Order, because it kind of mirrored what was really going on in his personal life with the company. He kind of used it as an angle to, you know, push a great angle. He's not getting respect, so that he forms the Latino World Order with the Latinos of the WCW to form the LWO. He saw what the NWO was doing, and they formed together, and they supposedly got the respect they got by taking it over, so he wanted to do the same thing. Juventud Guerrera being part of the LWO. Rey Mysterio refusing to join the LWO. Rey Mysterio was more of the baby face, never turn heel, always honorable luchador with the mask. He never wanted to turn to the LWO because there was a heel faction. Eddie Guerrero hated this. And Billy Kidman was just, he was out of the Ravens flock at this time. Or the flock, I think. But it was Ravens flock. He was out of the flock at this time. And he was in his Cruiserweight Championship years. Incredible match. These guys had some of the greatest chemistry in WCW. Some of the best high flying luchador style you'll see. And let's see what I wrote down in my notes real quick. Fucking Huey comes out with an LWO shirt on, and then Ray comes out with an LWO shirt, throws it on the floor, and fucking wipes his feet on it, pretty much stomps it on the floor. And yeah, they have an incredible match, as I referred to earlier. On the outside, on the inside, and a lot of it is one going for the pin on the other, and then the third man stopping the action. It was a lot of that. It was the story of the third man in this match. Ray would go for the cover on Kidman. Guerrera would interrupt. Guerrera would go for the cover on Junior, and Kidman would interrupt. Kidman would, blah, blah, you know, etc., etc. Until eventually Billy Kidman hit the shooting star press on both of them, got the pin, which leads to Eddie Guerrero coming out and berating not Billy Kidman, Rey Mysterio Jr. and Huey, saying that he could have fucking done it himself, that if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. So he challenges Billy Kidman to a match, which leads into the second match of the pay-per-view, which was another Cruiserweight Championship match. The first one being 14 minutes and 55 seconds, almost fucking 15 minutes. Second one, again, Kidman versus Eddie Guerrero. There's interference by Rey Mysterio. Billy Kidman hits the shooting star press on Eddie. Wins 2 matches in one night. Gets to retain his title. Let's see. If you guys don't know any of Eddie Guerrero or fucking Rey Mysterio, Juventud Guerrero, Billy Kidman in WCW at this time, I highly advise you guys watch some of their matches. These are some of the matches put on by some of the best wrestlers together at the time. Like, the talent that the WCW Cruiserweight division had at the time was incredible. Some of the best. And I've talked about them here on the show. Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, pretty much all of the luchadores. And then, which leads us into our third match, then you had some people to this day that are even trainers, Norman Smiley, the Big Wiggle, against Prince Iaukea in a singles match. But yeah, like I think I mentioned that Billy Kidman defeated Eddie Guerrero, yeah. Third match, Norman Smiley versus Prince Iaukea. Norman Smiley, if you guys don't know who he is, he trains people right now, I think, in the Florida Center. He trains them how to wrestle, and he's a really good submission guy. He was a really good chain submission guy. He chained submissions together, and he made them look painful on guys. Like, he actually made them look real. And that's how he wound up beating Prince Iaukea. He strings together a line of submissions, and I don't know exactly what the name of his finisher is. I think it was the Norman Conquest was the name of the lock that he used to have, and he submitted Prince Iaukea with it. This one was kind of like for being a StarrCade pay-per-view, it was a good match. Norman Smiley being a badass wrestler, Prince Iaukea being a previous television title champion. But this is a StarrCade matchup. It just didn't make sense, and maybe they liked doing a wave pattern where they would have a badass match and then lull, badass match and then lull, or a couple badass matches and then lull it. But then they had Perry Saturn versus Ernest the Cat Miller. Ernest the Cat Miller was like a mixed martial artist guy, or like a martial artist of a certain kind. Perry Saturn was a good wrestler, but in the last pay-per-view I saw him in, he was pretty bad. I forgot who I saw him against. They just had a lot of botches together. Him and Chris Jericho. Even though there's some of the best wrestlers, maybe they were just off that night. In my opinion, they were just off that night. But Perry Saturn defeats Ernest the Cat Miller because I think Sonny Ono, something with Sonny Ono. Sonny Ono being Ernest the Cat Miller's manager. Let's see. Yeah, he was distracted by Sonny Ono. Perry Saturn comes in, gets the win. Brian Adams and Scott Norton with Vincent from the NWO. They're all from the NWO. Versus Fit Finlay and Jerry Flynn. Again, I don't think this is a StarrCade type of match. There was no tag team titles defended on this pay-per-view. I don't know why. It's a StarrCade matchup. It's like the WrestleMania of WCW. It's their Starship pay-per-view, and they had some kind of just regular matches. Kind of disappointing. Brian Adams and Scott Norton pick up the win against Finlay and Jerry Flynn. Let's see. They just beat the shit out of him, from what looks like my notes say. Chris Jericho versus Conan for the television title. Jericho had taken the title for some reason from Conan, but Conan was the rightful champion. Conan was part of the Red and Black Wolfpack at the time. Takes the title from Jericho by beating him, so retains his title and gets to take back his title. It was a good match. Conan's always been a good wrestler. At this time, he just wasn't known for what his previous gimmicks were, and he was just known as Conan. And the NWO he was a lower guy in the NWO. He defeated Chris Jericho. Let's see, and then we had Eric Bischoff versus Ric Flair. Let's see what I remember from this match. Eric Bischoff is supposed to be a martial artist and was using his martial arts, trying to hit Flair, but it didn't work against Flair. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. I remember what happens. Eric Bischoff's mixed martial arts don't work against Ric Flair, and Ric Flair just beats the shit out of Eric Bischoff, knocks over the referee, locks in the figure four, and doesn't let go. One of the NWO guys hands Bischoff something. Bischoff slips it on, it looks like brass knucks. He knocks out Ric Flair, and he beats Ric Flair. I'm not sure if this leads into a feud where they fight over the company for for 90 days, for a certain amount of time. But then we have Diamond Dallas Page versus the Giant in a regular match. I remember the Giant winning for a while, and the one real big spot I remember from this match was almost something that's kind of used today by Ember Moon in her, what is it called? Her Eclipse, I think, her final Eclipse, where she front flips off the top rope and hits a stunner. The Giant was going for a chokeslam off the top rope to DDP, but DDP reverses it where he kind of front flips forward like that while the Giant has him, and he grabs his head and does the Diamond Cutter as they fall. And Diamond Dallas gets the win against the Giant. There was no United States Championship on the line or anything like that. Just a regular match. Then that brings us to the main event. Nash versus Goldberg. The pay-per-view was weird. This didn't seem like a StarrCade. If you look at the lineup, like the first two matches, they do seem like a StarrCade in the last match, but everything in between is kind of weird and seems out of place for this level of pay-per-view. Kevin Nash and Goldberg was supposed to be a badass pay-per-view on paper. You have the leader of the NWO trying to take out the streak of Goldberg. Goldberg is 173-0, undefeated, built up as a monster, brought into the WCW. His catchphrase being, "Who's next?" just because no one could take him out. And then we have the leader of the NWO Wolfpack, the Red and Black. The original founder of the original three of the founding NWO White and Black. You have Diesel, Big Sexy Kevin Nash trying to break the streak of Goldberg. At the time, in my opinion, I liked it just because I wanted to see Nash win. I wanted to see him beat Goldberg because I was not a Goldberg fan. I was an NWO fan. Again, I was 10. I was totally sold on the heel gimmick of the NWO, of how cool they were. I wanted to be part of the NWO. My fucking logo looks like the NWO. Just, I don't know. I was a real big fan of the NWO, so I wanted Nash to win. Going back and watching the pay-per-view, it doesn't make sense how they fucking did it. If you were going to beat Goldberg, at least beat him clean. But they had, it wasn't even that long of a match. No, it wasn't even that long of a match. I think Goldberg, it might even take longer to walk out, but it was weird how it ended. They had a regular match, Nash doing his obvious moves. And then you had Goldberg doing his obvious moves. These guys weren't super technical in there. They just had their power moves. A sidewalk slam, a big boot, a power bomb, or a jackknife power bomb by Nash. He'll get you in the corner and hit you with some knees in the stomach. That was his thing. Goldberg was almost like a super kick that he would do. He would have the spear, the jackhammer, a gorilla press slam. And he would beat you up in the corner with his fucking shoulders or something. I don't know. He didn't have a lot either. So these guys didn't have a lot to work with. But then you have two guys from the NWO coming in and interfering in the match. And then you have Scott Hall coming in and tasering Goldberg. He tasers Goldberg. Pretty much reestablishes his friendship with Nash. And Nash hits Goldberg with the jackknife powerbomb and takes him out. Gets the win. 1, 2, 3. Ends the streak of 173. Now it's 173-1. And maybe they could have done something to fix their error. Or maybe they could have even done something like to make it make sense. To make why you made Goldberg lose. And I wasn't a Goldberg fan. I'm not a Goldberg fan. I was an NWO fan. But if you go back and watch this, it doesn't make sense that Goldberg lost the streak. You have such a big monster. I don't understand it. But they did it. They ended the streak with a taser, which leads to an even more baffling question in why would they do the finger poke of doom or the finger poke of death? Where Nash gets poked by Hogan. I think it's like in the same month, and Hogan comes back, pokes Nash in the chest in a match that they're supposed to have. I don't even know if it's the next day. It might even be the next day if I'm not mistaken. But I don't think it's the next day. No, I'm gonna check this real quick. Let's see. Yeah, no, I don't think it was the next day. So on January 4th, Goldberg is scheduled to face Nash for the championship, but they pull an angle to where Goldberg is arrested for supposedly stalking Miss Elizabeth, which leads to Hogan getting the title shot against Nash which leads to them in there. The bell rings. Hogan pokes Nash in the chest. Nash takes a bump and then gets covered for the 1, 2, 3. Which is really weird. Their decision making, their booking. Why not keep the championship on Nash after taking out Goldberg after ending the streak, even in that stupid way? If you're going to end the streak, okay, cool. But then you end the streak and then you would do the poke of death? It just doesn't make sense. The booking at the time, I'm not sure who was booking. But they ended Goldberg's streak. That's how StarrCade 98 ended. And more you could see the unfolding of WCW and its horrible storylines and its just not being able to pick shit up. And WWE or WWF at the time knew what to do. I don't know. It was kind of like I said, it was really, really weird, the booking. You could definitely tell who was in charge at that time of booking by the choices that were made. Alright, guys. I'm gonna bring this shit to an end. Just because this guy should be getting here any minute. So we can go to this fucking wedding. Shout out to my boy Nero. He's taking the plunge, getting married. He's doing the damn thing. I'm going to be doing Royal Rumbles this year. I wanted to get StarrCade 98. I've been busy with the holidays. I've been busy doing other stuff, doing other podcasts. But like I said, I'm not stopping this Full Heel podcast. I know, don't get scared, guys. I know I'm on Average Joe's now. I'm co-host there, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing the Full Heel podcast, brother. Because let me tell you something, brother. The Full Heel podcast is going to run wild on you. No, but for real, I'm not going to stop doing this. I'm going to continue going. And I'm going to even try to be putting out more content. This is just going to be a kick in my ass to do more research on MMA. And I'm going to try to continue doing these pay-per-views, which aren't hard to do. It's just me watching and then giving you my honest opinion on whatever I think went on. Because I've seen it back in the day and I've seen it now. So I'm going to be doing the Royal Rumble for this year, but I'm going to be doing Royal Rumbles leading up until the Royal Rumble. So I'm not exactly sure which one I'll do. I think 92 is referenced as being one of the best Royal Rumbles. It's when the belt was on the line and when Ric Flair was back in the WWF for his first time. So yeah. Join the group on Facebook, Full Heel Podcast Fight Club. Drop a review on the Facebook page as well. Give me a 5-star review on there real quick. It helps the show. Go on iTunes. Even if you don't got iTunes, fucking go on there and give me a 5-star review. I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps out the show a ton. Big plans for Full Heel Podcast this year. Not even... I got plans for the show. And to keep it going. But check me out on Average Joe's MMA show on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, all that good stuff. I'm putting out the links all the time in the group anyway, so you could see them on there. The group is brand new, so let's keep it clean. Just don't be an asshole. That's pretty much my number one rule. That's it. Just don't be an asshole. Everything should be good. It's just wrestling and fucking UFC shit. Try to keep it to that and just don't try to insult each other. Or I will boot you. It's my group. I will rule with an iron fist. But I'm a good ruler, alright? I love all you assholes. I love all you bitches. Don't be cocksuckers. And that's it. You heard me?